For months now, I've been very outspoken about my hatred toward Twitter automation. I've made claims that it ruins Twitter, it's impersonal, and it's spam. In that time, I've had numerous people follow me, and I suspected they were doing so blindly and or with selfish intentions. They're either using an automated service to find me and then follow me without actually looking at my Twitter feed, or it's also very likely that they have the intention of unfollowing me if I don't follow them back. Ultimately, my decision of whether I follow them or not is purely based on looking at their feed. It's all based on their content. If what they're posting looks interesting enough, I'll follow them. But even if I don't like what I see in their Twitter feed, I really want to call them out on their scumbag methods. I detest automation so much I don't have the willpower to withhold my opinions. So I'm left with two decisions. I either follow them back and wait for the automated DM to arrive, or I don't follow them and I wait for them to unfollow me 48 hours later. If I'm feeling up for a conversation or potentially a debate about automation, I'll follow them. If I'm simply wanting to test their methods but not actually confront them about it, I'll leave them alone and check back with them in a week or so to see if they've unfollowed me. And if they haven't, I might actually reevaluate their Twitter feed and see if I want to follow them. Ironically, the day I'm writing this script, I had someone follow me who had previously followed me and then unfollowed me a few days later because I didn't follow them back. I guess he really wants to get my attention. After having these conversations and trolling these people for a few months, it finally hit me. I don't actually know what features these companies like Crowdfire and Unfollowers offer to people. So I decided to drink the Kool-Aid, sign up for an account with Crowdfire and Unfollowers, and see what actually exists behind the curtain. What can you actually do through these websites? Most of the things I'll talk about in this video exist in both services. In the event that something is unique to one or the other, I'm most likely not going to bother specifying which one because it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Let me start by saying there is no harm in signing up for these services as long as you're smart about it. There are a handful of potentially useful things available to you, if you're smart about it. For the most part, though, these features can just as easily be done through the native Twitter interface or any other third-party interface like TweetDeck. In some cases, I would say these interfaces beat out Crowdfire and Unfollowers. Also, I won't be listing all of the features because there are some features that aren't really worth talking about, like the ability to see if person X is following person Y. That just doesn't matter, and I'll be skipping stuff like that. So let's get into it and talk about what you actually can do with these services. First of all, after you sign into Crowdfire for the first time, you're immediately thrown into the proverbial deep end of the automation pool when you're asked if you want them to send out your follower stats once a week. According to them, this helps you build your audience because people like to retweet a tweet that's announcing how many new followers you've gained. I don't really understand why that's something worth retweeting. Why are people so fixated on numbers when it comes to social media? Shouldn't you be spending more time and energy on providing good content and building your brand that way? Advertising that you care about numbers will only attract other people who care about numbers. They don't really care about you or your product. They just see someone else who will most likely follow them back. There's a feature that allows you to see how many people you follow that aren't following you back. I call this the pity party feature. Crowdfire even has a pre-filled tweet that you can just click on the button and it sends a tweet that says, "I'm following 142 people who aren't following me back." Wah. The beautiful thing about Twitter is it's about followship, not friendship. It's about you getting the content that you want for your own reasons. There's no expectation for someone to follow you back, or at least there's not supposed to be. In addition to being a pity party feature, this is also the feature that enables those people who unfollow if you haven't followed them back within a few days. There's even an option that would allow you to hide people who you followed in the last, I think it was 48 hours. So you basically are giving people 2 days to follow you back and then cutting the cord. This is obviously built for selfish following practices. The next feature is the opposite. It shows you your fans, people who are following you, but you aren't following them back. This is mildly useful. I've oftentimes thought I followed someone who followed me, but I actually didn't. So this is a good way to find those people. I don't have a problem with this feature. However, it's not useful enough to merit making an account. Most of the people I found in this list were a bunch of Twitter people who are following 10,000 other people, and they're clearly all about the numbers. The next feature is the ability to view people who have recently unfollowed you. If someone unfollows me, am I supposed to care? I suppose you could use this feature to reach out to those people and ask for feedback, but that's about the only positive thing I could see coming from this. This is most likely used for unfollowing people who have unfollowed you, because why would you want to follow someone if they're not following you back? That's the mindset of these people anyways. The next feature allows you to see inactive people you're following. This is only really useful for making sure your numbers look as good as possible though. If they're inactive, it's not really affecting you at all. They aren't posting anything to your feed, so why do you care if you're following them? The next feature confused me and I actually couldn't really get it to work, but supposedly what you do is it allows you to copy the followers of another person on Twitter. So you're supposed to search for someone and it shows you their followers. You can then click the follow button on any of the people that appear in the list, but unfortunately this list only basically shows you their basic profile info. You can't actually see their tweets or anything beyond, their name and their bio. So at this point, I know nothing about their content, but remember, content doesn't matter. Numbers matter. Joking aside, you can easily do this with other Twitter applications or even the Twitter website itself. There's nothing stopping you on Twitter from viewing other people's followers and then following them. So why do we need these services to do that for us? Other than the fact of they make it easier to do it blindly. As we go deeper, we find more and more dangerous features. Next up is the ability to follow someone based on a search result. This feature shows you a list of people you should follow because at some point in recent history, this person has tweeted something that matches your search criteria. This feature recently gained me a follower actually. A fishing apparel company followed me because I posted a Shovel Knight video titled Gone Fishing. This tweet obviously had nothing to do with actual fishing, but they decided it was worth, following me over anyways. Clearly, they didn't actually know who they were following or what the person was tweeting. When it comes to these search results, Crowdfire is actually really bad about this. They don't even show you what tweet your search result was matched with. So you're even though you're searching for, I want to see who tweeted something about fishing, it doesn't even show you the tweet that they tweeted about fishing. Unfollowers, on the other hand, does at least show you the tweet. However, it's grayed out and it's below all the other information, the important stuff like the person's number of followers and how many follows they have, the important stuff, the numbers. The content's not important. Let's gray that out and kind of tuck it away because that doesn't matter. Ironically, though, you can do this better by using Twitter's own built-in search. Using Twitter's search function rendered a lot more results than that of Crowdfire's or Unfollowers. And Twitter shows you the actual tweet that matches your search. There were instances when I was testing this where Crowdfire or Unfollowers would show me 3 or 4 tweets, whereas Twitter would send me this limitless list of results for me. Built into all of these search features is a number of things you can do that adds a lot more functionality to these services. Based on your search, you can favorite a tweet, you can send a message, or you can tweet to these people. It would be easy for me to say this is spam because it's, really easy for you to say, hey, let's look up everybody that said the word fishing in a tweet and let's tweet at them. Well, that's very spammy, but I don't want to focus on that. I want to stress the real reason why I don't like this idea of mass messaging people based on a search result. All of this is done blindly. Unless you manually click on the person's profile, until you do that, you don't really know who this person is or what they're actually tweeting about. You are blindly spamming and advertising this person without actually knowing who it is or what they said. I've had a number of occasions where a company has favorited or responded to a tweet thanking me for supporting their product. Little did they know, the tweet that I made was actually derogatory toward their product or their company. I had this happen once with an automation service. They favorited a tweet I made insulting Twitter automation. I then responded to them with a screenshot showing them the irony of the situation. I was then followed by the company and the CEO. They clearly had no idea what they were doing, and at the root of it all, that's the problem. They claim they're using these services because they want to connect with people, grow their channel, and they just don't have the time to do it the right way. The problem is, Half of what they're doing isn't done by them, and it's done behind the scenes, and they don't even know what they're doing. They don't know what's going on with their Twitter feed. Is there a right way to use these services? Absolutely. If you put forth the effort in researching Twitter profiles and tweets before taking the action, you can use these services appropriately. But if you're going to put that much effort into it, there's no real reason to use the service because you can just use twitter.com. So where does all this leave us? All I've basically done is explained why I feel these services really don't provide any worth. They simply allow people to become spam machines. So what's next? Well, when I reached this point of my research, my next thought was immediately, why does it seem like so many of these users are doing better than me? Why are their channels' numbers technically better than mine? Because if you look at individual numbers, yes, many of these people are doing better than me. But you can't define the quality of a channel by looking at a single number or even just a single snapshot of numbers. In the next episode, I'm going to share with you my statistical analysis that explains all of this and more. Stay tuned.